Without so much as a warning, life hangs in the balance. Human endeavor turns to chaos. And within seconds, nothing will ever be the same. Ever. I'm Ron Pitts. Coming up, we are going to show you some of the most extraordinary moments of destruction ever recorded. From Taiwanese rescuers who end up fighting for their own lives, to a 900 horsepower race boat flipping at full throttle. Turn up the volume because this is destroyed in seconds.
I smell gas, so it can't be long before it starts.
Upstate New York. The Cranesville Fire Department buys an abandoned wood frame house near town.
Pretty well gutted in there.
The plan? Set it on fire as a training exercise.
These guys, they cut this to get things coming this way. Here we go.
Firefighter approaches the house holding a highway flare to ignite the fire. Anyone within earshot is shocked by the blast. Debris is blown hundreds of feet away.
Here, you kids want to kick that wood off the road, make sure there's nothing with nails sticking out of it.
It's an explosion so big, people nearby think it's an earthquake. Earlier in the day, the fire department had doused the inside of the house with several kinds of accelerants, including gasoline, kerosene, and diesel fuel.
I smell gas, so it can't be long before it starts.
Allowing them to soak into the dry and rotted wood. The result? Gas is mixed to form a deadly cocktail of explosive vapors inside the house. All that was needed was one small flame. A frame-by-frame examination shows how quickly the house goes up. In just 1/6 of a second, the explosion engulfs the cameraman. The force of the explosion sends 5 firefighters to the hospital. Luckily, the most serious of the injuries is a broken leg. Fortunately, the fireman with the flare lowers his face shield just moments before he lights the blaze.
I smell gas, so it can't be long before it starts.
The simple move turns out to be vital in protecting his eyes from the flames and flying debris. The department decides to no longer use accelerants to start training fires, and instead opts for the more conventional straw and paper. Weatherford, Texas. Police are hot on the heels of a robbery suspect as he leads them on a dangerous ride.
I just put sunglasses on. We're turning into Trace Ridge.
He tears through residential areas.
We're coming back westbound on the service road. He just made a loop. We're back westbound on the service road.
Roadblocks are no match for the man behind the wheel. He cuts one corner by driving through a gas station parking lot at high speeds, endangering the lives of innocent bystanders. 3.5 minutes after the chase begins, it ends, and police cruisers catch the whole thing on their dash cams. The driver veers into the oncoming lane and hits a van head on. The wreckage tells the story. The speed at the time of impact, well over 100 miles per hour. The 3 people inside the van escaped serious injury, an amazing result given the force of the impact. The suspect was not as lucky. He suffered head injuries and burns. Thanks to this dash cam video, police now have a vital piece of evidence to use in bringing this suspect to justice.
Fire Department.
Plymouth, England. Competition is fierce at the Honda British Grand Prix. Pilot James Shepard and his co-pilot, Chris Parsonage, are competing in their 900 horsepower Powerboat.
This is King of Shays, looking in good shape there. A long lap, going in just 10 seconds behind 77. But
King of Shaves gets a lucky break.
losing power on one engine, and King of Shays are back into second place in the championship.
Steam broke down, that's all right. Okay, just push like hell.
At 125 miles per hour, the race is neck and neck.
Last lap, 3 minutes, 4.11 seconds.
Just inches from first place, they need to hit the next turn hard to edge into the lead.
Straight for the boys! And too tight on it! Doesn't matter, we're gonna shut down!
The pilot hits the throttle and accelerates to 138 miles per hour. But as he takes the turn, their desire to win changes to a fight for survival.
That is absolutely massive.
The World Championships of the Honda British Grand Prix. James Shepard and Chris Parsonage are competing with their powerboat, King of Shays. Closing in on first place at 138 miles per hour, they steer a hard left.
And too tight on it!
And then,
That is absolutely massive.
the 10,000-pound powerboat catches a wake left by competitors. The $2 million vessel flips violently, smashing the right side of the hull and submerging the two pilots.
That's all right, keep on it, keep on it, keep on it! Oh!
James and Chris are trapped upside down as water floods the cockpit. The team frantically searches for their oxygen masks, and James takes one last gasp of air and tries to abandon ship.
King of Shays has crashed.
Every second feels like an eternity. Then, a sign of hope. An escape door pops open, and James desperately works his way through the narrow hatch. Seconds later, Chris follows, and they swim to the surface.
Oh, and there comes Parsonage.
The team is shaken, but okay. Once safely on land, Chris speaks frankly about the accident.
She left a big wake, picked up both of them together, lifted the boat up, away she went.
As for the King of Shaves, it will require 3 months of labor and $140,000 worth of repairs. A small price to pay for what could have cost James and Chris their lives. Three Rivers, Texas. A welding mishap ignites a fire in an oil storage tank. It seems the blaze is nearly out as firefighters continue hosing it down. They are unaware that the water will become fuel for an even bigger fire. The intense heat turns the water into steam. That in turn heats up the oil even more rapidly. If the temperature exceeds 752 degrees, the tank will ignite. Within seconds, the fire escalates, throwing out a huge wall of heat. The explosive fire radiates heat so intense that people more than 200 yards away suffer third-degree burns. Breathless bystanders who escape the searing heat are certain there must be serious injury.
Better get standards headed this way. The people down there are gonna be burnt back.
Even the cameraman gives up his lockdown tripod shot and runs. The wave of heat and scalding steam singes people in seconds, sending them running for their lives. Although 22 people suffered second and third degree burns, no lives were lost during this fire. TIENEN, Taiwan. In order to improve their emergency response teams, the Taiwanese government has organized a joint swiftwater rescue training exercise. To make the training sessions as realistic as possible, organizers are creating real-life situations for rescuers to respond to. Runaway cars are driven into the lake, so rescuers can practice locating them under the surface with metal detectors. Swimmers and boats are used in conjunction to save stranded flash flood victims. For more complex rescues, they enlist the National Police's Airborne Squadron. They're an elite unit capable of rescues that require pinpoint precision. As they move in to conduct the mock rescue, they're completely unaware that in just a few seconds, they're about to be involved in a real-life emergency. The helicopter maneuvers into position, then starts to lose altitude. The pilot raises the chopper, but he's completely lost control. Emergency workers are holding a massive training exercise in TIENEN, Taiwan. On hand to demonstrate an aerial water rescue is the National Police's elite Airborne Squadron. But as the team moves into position, it soon becomes obvious that they're the ones who need rescuing. The chopper pulls out of the water, but the pilot can't hold on. As the squad's diver begins to lower himself into the water, an engine malfunction causes the chopper to lose power and drop into the river. The diver stays with the chopper, but as it begins to spin out of control, he's thrown into the water. Then, the 40-foot rotors rip into the river and shatter into pieces, just inches away from where the diver hit the water. The pilot is able to escape, but the co-pilot's leg is stuck, and he can't free himself from the wreckage. The fallen diver surfaces next to the helicopter, seemingly unharmed. The co-pilot struggles to get loose as the sinking helicopter is taken downstream by the current. Pontoon boats arrive as he slips below the surface of the water. But just moments after the co-pilot is pulled under, a rescuer is able to free his leg, and they both rise to the surface. They race him back to shore, where EMT crews are waiting. The co-pilot and everyone else involved know that if this accident had happened anywhere other than at a rescue training exercise, the end result could have been fatal. You can run it off the tracks with a high-speed train, or load it onto a truck and smash it into a concrete wall. No matter what you do, this container is not going to break. It's called a nuclear flask, and back in the late 70s and early 80s, these solid steel 50-ton containers went through a series of trials to prove they could safely transport nuclear waste. This trial puts a flask on a flatbed truck. The unmanned vehicle is propelled down the test track by 2 rockets. Then, at 60 miles per hour, it smashes headlong into a concrete wall. The flasks appear to be indestructible, so they decide to up the stakes. This time, a rocket-powered truck slams into the wall at 84 miles per hour. Remarkably, the flask still survives, even though it destroys everything surrounding it. But now the flask will undergo its most severe test yet. For this trial, a high-speed locomotive will plow into the container. The flask is rested on the center of the railroad tracks, and nearly 9 miles away, an unmanned train is set in motion. The train accelerates down the tracks and reaches 100 miles per hour. It pulls only 3 coaches, but this setup provides the same dynamics as a large passenger train. Finally, the train reaches its target. The tremendous impact destroys the train. As for the flask, a pressure test reveals that it is structurally intact. A comforting thought for those who live along the routes where radioactive waste is transported. In fact, these tests have proven the nuclear flask to be virtually indestructible. As of today, not one radioactive leak or accident has occurred while transporting nuclear waste inside these robust containers. In the town of La Paz, Bolivia, police respond to a domestic disturbance call. A man has barricaded himself inside his apartment and holds his wife hostage at knife point. Police try to reason with him. Fearing for the safety of the hostage, police decide to rush the door. As they kick it in, they hear the distinctive sound of a broken gas main. One spark could cause the apartment to explode. The police immediately retreat. A few seconds later, the sound disappeared. Thinking that the danger is over, the officers decide to rush the door. A man holds his wife hostage as police try desperately to make him surrender. Fearing the woman's life is in imminent danger, they attempt to force their way in. Several of the officers are blown off their feet and pelted with debris from the blast. Fearing another explosion, the injured officers retreat into the street. Moments later, the wanted man emerges from the flames. Immediately, police officers grab him and drag him from the building. In the hallway, a shell-shocked woman suffering from burns is escorted out by police. The man waits to trigger the explosion until all the police rush the door. Thankfully, the force of the blast blows the officers away from the flames. Inside, the apartment fire continues to rage. Outside, the injured officers are attended to, and the suspect is taken away.
La señora ha atentado contra la vida de mis oficiales y contra la vida de su esposa también al amenazar con fuego y con el posiblemente esté apuñalada también la señora.
In all, 7 officers suffered burns, and the woman was taken to the hospital to be treated for her injuries. The sounds you are hearing are not coming from a war zone or military conflict. They are the results of a stray spark inside a British fireworks factory. November 1998, a fireworks factory in the far west of England is engulfed in flames. As the initial blaze breaks out, smoke can be seen billowing into the air from miles away. And then, minutes later, the storage warehouse ignites. In a spectacular chain reaction, firework after firework shoot through the building's burnt roof and light up the sky. As the series of explosions continues, fiery pieces of wood and metal rain down on the town. Nearby residents evacuate their homes and watch in awe as the factory burns. And they can't help but wonder about the fate of the people who work there.
Poor Elspeth works over there, don't she? Who? Elspeth, the girl that sings in the choir. She works over there. Don't think there'll be much left of anything.
Later that day, the destruction is revealed throughout the small village. In all, 53 properties are damaged by the blasts. Windows are blown out, rooftops are burnt, and the factory is leveled. No one knows exactly what set the fireworks off, but thanks to a well-implemented evacuation plan, no factory workers or residents were injured. Sevastopol, Ukraine. A Russian Tu-134 military passenger plane taxis onto the runway and prepares to take off. The pilot throttles up and the plane quickly gains speed. As the plane rips down the runway, a small explosion ignites the plane's left engine. Now traveling at more than 100 miles per hour, the plane tries to take off, but unbeknownst to the pilot, the left engine has failed. The nose falls back down, and the pilot desperately tries to decelerate the plane. But it's too late. The aircraft plummets onto a field, causing the left wing to slam into the ground, ignite the fuel tank, and explode into a ball of flame. As the plane burns out of control, surely everyone on board must have perished. But amazingly, passengers and crew members managed to escape the billowing black smoke. Moments later, emergency crews arrived to extinguish the flames from the aircraft. An investigation reveals the cause of the accident to be a flock of birds sucked into one of the plane's engines during takeoff. A closer look at the footage shows the moment when the birds flew into the engine, sealing the plane's fate. Despite the massive explosion from the accident, all 20 passengers aboard the flight survived, with only minor injuries. I'm Ron Pitts. Join me next time on Destroyed in Seconds.
Absolutely